Hey, everybody. Lieutenant Joe Pangaro here for the Hope is Not a Tactic podcast. This is the school safety and security program. Although a lot of stuff we talk about is good for businesses, religious facilities, summer camps, any place people get together and need to be safe. These are the things we talk about here. So I want to start off by talking about my sponsors for a quick minute to let you know that's what's bringing this to us, this information to help you keep your schools safe, your students, your staff, your visitors, everybody in your facilities safe. All right, I want to talk about Riot Tint real quick for a minute. Riot Tint, every threat assessment that I do, one of the first things I tell them is you got to keep people from getting in you don't want in, right? And the way we do that is we secure the glass at our doors, our entryways, and our other glass windows that people can come in and out, especially our glass doors. So Riot Tint makes a product that you put on the door. It's crystal clear. You can't see through it. It's amazing. And if someone tries to bash their way in, it takes them 2 to 3 minutes to get in. You have time. It buys you time to survive. The Riot Tint product also has a device that you can hook up to power. You click a button with a fob and it frosts the glass so people can't see in at you. They're awesome. You ought to take a look at it. I recommend it every single time I do an assessment. And then my publisher, the blue360media.com, blue360media.com. They're publishers of all things law enforcement and legal. And we're going to be going into school safety and security soon. We're going to have training, programs, books, all kinds of stuff that everybody needs and wants. All right. And also medicalessentialdiagnostics.com. They're in New Jersey. So if you're a school teacher, you work for the state in any capacity, the township, the county, whatever, you can go to medicalessentialdiagnostics.com, make an appointment, go in, and you and two adults in your family can go in and get a health screening at no cost to you. Find out there's something wrong and survive. So I want to thank them for bringing all this to you. So a couple of the things that we're looking at, I go over my list. I have a bunch of things here. And one of the topics that comes up over and over and over, and especially after the pandemic, it is coming up again quite a lot, is the topic of vaping. Vaping, right? Hitting the vaping pen. The reality is that a lot of people, a lot of parents, and a lot of staff members also believe that vaping is better than smoking cigarettes, right? Because there's no tobacco involved. And that's where it kind of got its initial kick. Now, young people use vape. There's flavored vapes. There's vapes with drugs in it, right? THC, opium, all kinds of things. You can get on the internet and you can vape with it, right? Because you're inhaling this right into your lungs. Now, there's no burning tobacco, which it's good that you're not inhaling that because we shouldn't be doing that. Doctors tell you what? You inhale cigarette smoke or pipe smoke or anything, if you inhale it into your lungs, it's going to hurt your lungs. And over time, it's going to cause cardiovascular problems, breathing, lung problem. It's not healthy. So vaping, while it's not burning tobacco, you are bringing in the vape product and all of the chemicals that are in there, whether it's just the flavors or just the vape itself. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that vape products, when they're just regular vape, like to take the place of cigarettes, well, they don't have burning tobacco. They have the chemical nicotine, which is the active ingredient in cigarettes that addicts you to it. Nicotine, sometimes, most times, they have twice as much nicotine than a pack of cigarettes in a vape capsule that they put in there and they vape on it. Twice as much nicotine. So what do you think happens when you get twice as much nicotine? You get twice as addicted is what happens. It's not good for you. So one of the ways I tried to bring this to people's attention is that I started to see people I knew who had kids who were vaping having these lung problems, popcorn lung and all these other kind of things. My neighbor is a doctor and he works in an emergency room. And I started, hey, you get people with, he goes, oh yeah, we get young people in all the time because of vaping, right? And I started to research it. And I found out, did you know that the vape pens, because they got a lithium battery in them, sometimes they explode? Did you also know that people have been vaping with the vape pen and it exploded and cut their throat? Pieces of the that came flying off of it when it exploded, and they have died. They've been injured, disfigured. They put them in their pockets. They explode in their pockets. You put them in a backpack and put it in a locker, and it can explode and start into a fire. So what I started to hear from school people was that, gee, this is a real problem. Our staff doesn't really understand it. The parents don't get it. They think it's better than smoking cigarettes. And I guess in one way, because you're not inhaling tobacco, burning tobacco, that's better, but everything else is not. So I got together with my neighbor, Dr. Chris Bader, excellent guy, and him and I put together this book. I don't know if you can see that there. It's called The Dangers, Health Risks, and Consequences of Vaping. Right now, it's not a big book, it's a small book. But in here, we're talking about all these three things. So the dangers, the students need to understand, the parents need to understand, and your staff needs to understand what are the dangers? What actually happens with the chemicals that come into your body? How does it affect you? How does it affect your health? What diseases are you prone to? And can these things explode? Do they start fires? Can they kill you? They can. What about when there's drugs in there? In the book, I details a friend of mine, his kid was going to high school, not a smoker, not a drug user, walks into the bathroom, and there's two kids in the bathroom, and they're vaping with THC and opium, heroin. And the room is filled, and they're sitting there, oh, they're laughing, they're getting high. This kid never involved in that. He walked in, he took a big snort of this, and the kid went down. Now, luckily, he survived it, but he went down. He was overcome. You want that happening to your kids? So these are the dangers and the health risks, right? And then what are the consequences? So I had school people say to me, well, what are we supposed to do? I mean, what can we do if we catch somebody with vape? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. So one of the things I did is I went to an attorney who deals with schools all the time, very famous guy, and John Moore. I'll give his name out. John Moore, very good guy. He's been in the center of school policy and procedure for active shooters and all kinds of health issues. So I went to John and we created a policy, a model policy that everyone can have for free. You just got to email me, Joe at Pangaro Training, and I will send you a copy of the policy. And you can tweak it, have it approved by your board, and you have a policy. Why? Because when it comes to vaping, vaping is not smoking. You have to have a separate vaping policy for your schools, right? So I have a policy for you. It talks about why it's a problem. It talks about how you're going to investigate it and what the consequences can be, right? Consequences. So a lot of school districts go to the police. If they catch somebody with vape and it's anti-vaping policy, they go to the police and report it, and there's a charge, township charge, a criminal charge, whatever. Excuse me. Then other districts say, listen, we don't want to get involved with the police. We don't want to have charges. We want to do things in-house. We want education. We want to re-educate the kids. And that's fine. That's great. Whatever it is you want to do, you put that in your policy. But get this book. You can get it on Amazon. It's the only place you can get it. Go to Amazon.com, Joseph Pangaro, The Dangers, Health Risks, and Consequences of Vaping. It's not much. I think it's $10, $11, something like that. But it gives you, as I'm just whipping through here real quick, the kind of topics. Vaping. Is vaping, it's worse than we think? What is vaping anyway? What are the dangers? Vaping in schools, different policy changes you can have, and a solid anti-vaping program. So it's not just me, it's a doctor who sees this every day. So you want to get a copy of it, you want to have it in your school, give it to your teachers. I also have available three videos I created on the dangers, health risks, and consequences of vaping. One is made for students, one is made for parents, and one is made for staff. What a lot of schools have done is that they have purchased these videos and they do a presentation to the school and they show all the kids all of this stuff. And, I don't scare kids, but I don't mince words either. I tell them the truth. Then they bring the parents in for a night and the parent, hey, this is why we have a vaping policy. Here's what we're going to do if we catch your kids vaping or selling vape stuff in school. Kids do it, they distribute it and sell it. And they show it to the parents. So the parents now have an understanding of what's going on. And then they show it to staff because staff don't always understand why you have this policy. What's the big deal? Isn't it better than smoking, right? So you can get all those. Joe at Pangaro Training, reach out to me and we can get you the videos. All right. So that's the whole idea, is that vaping is a big problem in our schools. It's not healthy. It's not safe. And I know a lot of people out there in our schools, leadership, teachers, everybody, they want to understand more. They want to help have a healthy environment for these kids. So we do that by educating ourselves. So remember, vaping is not better than smoking. It's just another problem. All right, so this is Lieutenant Joe For hope is not a tactic. Like the show, subscribe to the show, make sure you tell your friends about it, and let's get it into the schools. Let's try and keep people safe. We're going to talk about a lot more stuff as we go on to help everybody stay safe.